Every Lennox fan, we made fun of their name.
We had
They
a few
tuned out already.
Lennox is listening earlier. Fuck this show.
Oh, my favorite podcast is starting.
Oh, time for old Lennox to sit down and have a good listen. Welcome back, everybody, to S1E1, the show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Melissa and Joey. Melissa and Joey went 104 episodes over 4 seasons on ABC Family. Today we're talking about episode 1, which was called Pilot, originally airing August 17th, 2010. So to get things started, I'm Jake Aggs. With me, as always, the boys, Gordo, Nick, Ferg, no Joe this week. What's going on, guys?
Heyo.
Hello.
Whoa. What should I say? Whoa.
They should have really tongue-in-cheek and named the pilot of this episode, Who's the Nanny?
Yeah, I wanted to get into a lot of that. We will. And before anything, I just want to apologize on Joe's behalf. Joe had a prior commitment. He does like a thing. He volunteers once in a while. Usually doesn't fall on Thursdays, but he teaches Boy Scouts how to tie knots. It's been something he's been passionate about on the side, so he's just teaching them various knots and stuff like that. But the class unfortunately ran at the same time. So
I guess this week is the nautical knots for all the boats and stuff.
this one here, Melissa and Joey. I don't know if you guys. I'm aware of the show. I definitely didn't watch it when it was on its run.
No, who had ABC Family?
Yeah, what were the years for this? Sorry.
Well, 2010, it ran 4 seasons, and Gordo, there's no way you watched it because when we covered Blossom, you didn't know Joey Lawrence was a real person. So there's no way on earth you saw the show.
That's true, yeah.
Was he even in Blossom?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very much so.
The pilot?
Yep,
Yes.
we covered it. Watch the whole show that you're on.
It's too bad Joe's not here, actually, because I'm pretty sure this is the Reba set.
It is the Reba set. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a few
okay.
things that came up. I was like, oh, Joe would have dug this.
I
Yeah.
like when I get those right.
So, for the record, Joe hates Reba.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. Renowned Reba hater.
And I also want to bring up, this is actually a fan pick. Justin picked this over a year ago. It's tough sometimes because we plan a lot of things in advance, and we definitely try to sneak things in when we can. And he's someone who's been a great, loyal listener for a long time. He actually was one of the giveaway winners when we did our live show. So I was kind of scrolling through certain chats and trying to find out people who have picked some stuff in the past, and saw that this was one of the shows he had mentioned a while back. So wanted to sneak something in right here. So Justin, thank you for the suggestion. This is why we're doing it this week.
We appreciate you, dude.
Why do you hate us, Justin?
Yeah, I don't know, Justin.
Hey,
There's going to be a lot to talk about in this
Yeah.
episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you from
yeah.
Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
I don't know where that came from. But yeah, no, this is the first ABC Family original I think we've done.
Is it?
Maybe one of the new Addams Family might have been that channel changed too over the years. It was like ABC Family. It was
Fox Family, wasn't it?
that Fox Family, that one?
ABC Family shows Boy Meets World comes up, but that's not right, right?
It might have been on there at some point, but it was part of TGIF.
Whose line was on that when we were younger?
Plenty of things were because ABC owned it. So some things went into syndication.
Yeah, what's the
and stuff
difference,
like that.
though, between ABC and ABC Family?
Wasn't it a religious one? Wasn't that like a religious station that ABC
Definitely
bought?
not. Oh, maybe.
Oh, I don't know. It changed over time. It was I think there was a Home and Family channel. I forget. It changed over the years. I don't want to misspeak on it because I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I can't remember. The new Addams Family show we covered was on something like that. I don't know.
No, I think that was on Fox Family because that was by the people that made Power Rangers, Saban.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, in any event, yeah. So here we are with Melissa and Joey. So this was kind of what happened was the two of them did a ABC Family movie together. That did really well. It was My Fake Fiance. That came out in 2009, so the year before. that did like crazy good ratings, did like #1 for TV, movies, and a lot of different demographics. So I think the network was like, we got to put these two together with something else.
I mean, as far as like pulling demographic goes, like what two people could really do it better than these two, right? Like, say what you want about the show, but both of these people are very comforting, like, presence as far as just like, I mean, we grew up mainly with Melissa Joan Hart and like Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina and stuff like that we all watched, and he's been in a bunch of things too. So like the familiarity of these two is really comforting, I think.
Yeah, they're the same. They're actually only 2 days apart in age. So same demographic, really same generation. And
I will say this though, they had good chemistry together on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, and again, it wasn't the first time they worked together, and they've known each other since they were kids. Like through the why am I forgetting? I want to say interview. It's not interview. It's auditions. Through the audition circuit. So they did a lot of those together. So I think they said they met when they were like 4 or 5 years old.
Oh wow.
And so that helps to have like a rapport. I guess their moms were like friends to some degree and stuff like that.
I might have brought this up before. I follow the Lawrence brothers on Instagram. They're actually pretty interesting. Like they have like their own podcast. I haven't listened to the podcast.
I get clips for it sometimes.
Yeah, I see the clips pop up on Instagram and stuff. They seem, just like as far as like how childhood actor, like how that path can take you sometimes, like it's nice to see that they're relatively normal people leading like normal lives.
For the most part, I feel like from what little stuff I've seen, maybe Matthew was the one who got the most absorbed into celebrity life a little bit and some of the demons, but it looks good now. And yeah, I've caught clips of the show.
I hardly remember the youngest brother. What's his name?
Mork.
Mork Lawrence, yeah. No, Gordo's right, it's Mork.
Mork Lawrence?
Yeah, you don't know him?
It's Matthew, Joey, and
Mork.
Okay. Is he also from Orc? Or?
It's it's Andy. It's the youngest one. Yeah, they had a show together, if you remember, Brotherly Love.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
So we could try to sneak that in at some point too.
And Melissa Joan Hart, I mean, Nick, speaking of like childhood actors not gone down the crazy bin,
true.
She's also not crazy.
And she came from Nickelodeon, where it kills them all.
Yeah, Nickelodeon kids do way worse than Disney kids.
Yeah,
as we're seeing right now.
She's always still like doing something. Like she's stayed like working. I think maybe is probably part of it.
Well, think about this, right? Melissa and Joey obviously was not like really for us when this came out, 2010. We're a little aged out of it. We're guys in our mid-20s when this is coming out. For all intents and purposes, not the biggest show she did.
No.
But went over 100 episodes, was fairly popular on the network. It's her third biggest TV show. She had Clarissa Explains It All, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, both monsters,
How far after Sabrina did this come out?
Probably longer than we think, because Sabrina was, hold on, I'll tell you right now. So Sabrina went 96 to 2003, so there was a 7-year gap.
That was a nice little gap there.
What I was going to say is, like, I think this show's a great idea, putting them two, like, semi-icons together, but I think it happened about 5 years too late.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
To a degree, sure, but, the nostalgia's still there. And like I said, they just came off of doing, like, a made-for-TV rom-com that did really well. So that's kind of like the thing that they're working off of.
They also went, what did you say, Jay? 104 episodes?
Yeah. So, I mean, the show was a success. Yeah. And when you look at the scores, I always like to give those, the IMDb score for the show is an overall 7.0, but that's with over 20,000 votes. So it's like, it's a, that's a pretty good barrier.
The fact that many people voted on it actually kind of speaks for it. Yeah.
It was actually trending up. I don't know what goes into those trending things on it, but it was like trending up from wherever it was, And Rotten Tomatoes only had an audience score, no critic, but that was also 74%. So pretty much lines up with the IMDb.
Lawrence Clan is loyal.
It's funny too, you brought up Who's the Boss. It's going to come up later, trust me, because I noted it too. One of the creators of the show was a person who was a producer on Who's the Boss and worked on that show, which I don't think is a coincidence at this point. Yeah.
Excuse me. It's one of those things where you literally have an infinite amount of scenarios you could work with for a sitcom synopsis, okay? Why would you get so close to two popular ones that have already happened? And it's so specifically close, too. It just seems like super, super lazy. And that's like, I know I bring that up a lot. Like, it's like one of my least favorite things is when they just like don't try and they just kind of pick the easy thing. And and they did that here. I just don't understand why. Like, these two are going to have chemistry regardless, really. Like, it could have been any scenario. And they did it this way. And it's just a carbon copy of Who's the Boss and the Nanny.
So I think what happens here is they want to incorporate kids because it's ABC Family. So it can't just be like a workplace romance, will they, won't they? So they try to figure out a way to get them near each other and with children involved. But also, you know, not so much the Nanny. I kind of link this one to In the Family, which we also do at LL Cool J. That was another like becomes a guy nanny to the working woman with the kids and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, it's all these shows though. There's so many premises. A lot of things get recycled as long as you can kind of, I guess, find your own spin on it. But there were a couple moments that raised my eyebrow with like very Who's the Boss like situations.
Yeah, it's remarkably similar.
But like none of the kids are his, so that's more In the Family than Who's the Boss.
That's more Nanny.
But the kids aren't hers either. See, that's a twist. Whoa!
That is a twist, actually. This is the first time where the kids aren't either of theirs. Yeah, so it's you know, the family you find. Only other thing I want to bring up, because I do want to get into the episode itself. We've been talking for a minute now. Show's supposed to take place in Toledo, Ohio. I don't know if that's really mentioned in this episode.
Holy Toledo.
I have something about that. When they do one of the exterior shots and they show like the skyline, I was like, what the fuck is that? There's like a transition scene. I was like,
looking at Toledo. I don't think we've been in Ohio. We've driven through Ohio. I don't know if we drove through Toledo or not, but.
Let's see. Toledo, Ohio is, I mean, yeah, it looks like you kind of had to.
If we drove by it, we literally just drove by it. We never stopped, so.
Yeah, driving in, I was tired, and driving out, I was hammered.
Yeah.
That's the proper way to enter and exit Ohio.
So, yeah, wait. So, on our road trip, we went from Cleveland to where?
Cleveland, Cincinnati. No, Cleveland, Chicago, Cincinnati.
So if we went from Cleveland to Chicago, yeah, we drove right through Toledo. We've been there, boys.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I haven't.
Not you, Gordo.
Not you.
No.
Yeah.
I don't have that Ohio Riz like you guys do.
Anyways.
You know, before we get into this, though, there is actually something else that I wanted to bring up, too, that kind of bothered me. So the show's called Melissa and Joey, right? And then in the show, Joey plays Joe. Okay. Melissa does not play Melissa.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I didn't pick up on that.
She plays Melanie and only goes by Mel the whole time. So why not just name her Melissa? And she could have still gone by Mel.
I know. It's dumb. But like I always go back to the Cosby Show with this. And
sure.
I wonder
There's a lot of shows that do this, by the way. But yes.
Yeah, and I don't understand why. Like, I don't think there's an excuse, like, even the Cosby Show could have to not name the show, like, George Lopez, like, they're not, wait, are they the Lopez's in George Lopez?
I don't remember. He's also named every show after himself, so it's tough to track. But
I just can't remember if he's if he's George Lopez in that. But anyways, my point is I don't understand why that's ever necessary. Just either name the show a name or fucking keep the names the same. Like, I think that's
sometimes,
really silly.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times there's been like the blah 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 show, and then they don't have that same character name, which is weird to me. But here it's like you kind of did it, so why not just fully commit?
Right? Yeah.
He stayed Joe. She is Mel, but isn't Melissa. You went with Melanie. Like, it's just so pointless to do that.
It was showing her range.
Final fun fact before we get into this, when it starts, the very first thing you get is that classic, the voiceover, and you're getting it from Melissa Joan Hart saying, like, Melissa and Joey was filmed in front of a live studio audience. First time for her, despite Sabrina and Clarissa both being like multicams. This is the first time she actually used a live studio and not canned laughter.
No shit. That's crazy.
I would have thought Sabrina.
Yeah, I would have thought Sabrina was live studio.
Yeah, me too.
I actually saw. I brought this up before too. I saw the Clarissa Explains It All set, and there was like a view. It was like a viewing room, but yeah, there was no like seats. Like you could see down into the set, but yeah, there was no like seats. Which is crazy because it was at Universal Studios. Like I imagine you could probably sell.
I know it'd be
tickets to
very
that pretty
easy to
easy.
fill.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there were tours and stuff going through because
Yeah,
I
that's
know
how I
they
saw it,
toured
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Did you think Nick was just hanging out at Nickelodeon Studios?
Well, it's
Wasn't on a
named
tour?
after him.
It's true.
I'm the Nick from Nickelodeon.
So now the show opens up and we have Mel and her, I guess her assistant, Rhonda, and they're in Mel's room and she's getting ready to go on a date. Rhonda's played by Elizabeth Ho. You might know her from another show we covered. She was Joy on Merry Happy Whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I blanked that show out of my existence.
First off, you passed that show and you watched all of it.
What show is that?
Merry Happy Whatever, the Christmas show that you swear was satire.
Oh, what did I mix it up with?
Another terrible show.
Happy
that we
Together.
Maybe.
Honestly, you don't even have to like dislike a show and forget about it. Like we've done so many now.
covered. We've covered a lot.
We're pushing 170 plus. Like
This is 176 or something like that for us now. Yeah.
yeah,
No, this
you
is-
can't retain all
This
that.
is 177.
No, 176.
Yeah. We just released 175. Yeah. Anyways, moving forward. So so she's getting ready for her date, and that's when Rhonda's like, "Oh, the council story's up on television." And you click over and you see, this is how we find out that Mel is a councilwoman in her city. And she's kind of doing like a press conference, town meeting type thing. And you're watching the footage of it on TV from earlier that day.
I hate the dialogue of this part, by the way.
The dialogue itself, yeah.
Between the two of them, the girls.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, it was, I have a lot of dialogue issues like that. A
I'll
lot
get
of
into
unnatural
it after
talking.
you finish this part. I'll tell you what I don't like about it after.
We see her and she's standing in front of everyone in the town and she's saying, we're going to start capping elementary school classes so they're no larger than 22 students. And that's when someone from the audience steps up to holding a bag of trash, like an angry townsperson. That's Don Stark, who you guys would all know as Bob Pinciotti from that 70s show.
Thank you. I know I could have looked him up, and I was like,
That didn't catch you immediately?
I've been thinking about it since I watched it too. I'm like, who the fuck was that? And I wanted to discuss it here, but damn, yeah, that's Bob Pinciotti. Yep.
Yeah, so he walks up with a bag of trash and he's upset because basically the money to fund the extra classrooms took away from the, I guess, multi-week trash pickup in their area. So now that it's only once a week, they are flooded with extra trash.
First of all, every town that I know of only does it once a week.
Yes. And then if you're like private, like if you're a restaurant or something, you pay for your own independent
Yeah.
trash anyways. Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I have family down Cape Cod, and I didn't know that they don't have trash service down there. They have to go to the dump, and like I've been going to the Cape for my entire life. I was born there, and I just found that out like last year maybe, and I was blown away. Like I couldn't wrap my head around the concept of putting your trash in a car and driving it somewhere every time you have too much trash. Like, that's psychotic to me.
My fondest memories growing up is going to the dump with my uncle.
Like, see, you know what would happen too, though, is like, I would like
He
be
would
like,
pull
oh, fuck it,
something
I'll do
out.
it later. Like, I'd end up like going with 20 bags of trash
He would what?
after like 3 weeks.
Gordo, what'd you say? He would do what?
He would pull stuff out of the dump.
Damn. All right.
He would pull stuff out. Like what? He would find cool things in there because like it's not like just trash. It's not like a landfill. Like you go to a spot and dump it, like your bags and stuff. And then there are other places where people just leave bigger items.
Did you ever find Freddy Krueger's bones there?
No, I did not.
Too bad. That's where they were in Dream Warriors.
Okay. In the Cape Cod dump?
No, just in the Springwood dump.
The Cape Cod one, no, specifically.
The Yarmouth dump?
So, and then you kind of get like it goes back and forth a little bit, and you see the two girls sitting there watching on TV, and basically Rhonda's just justifying Mel's actions and, how this makes sense and, the moving of the funding. Mel's like, yeah, suck it, garbage guy. And then we get back to the TV clip, and we see Joe, played by Joey Lawrence, walk up to the angry townsman It's like, hey, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who brings garbage to a public area like this and be a crazy person. He's like, act like a gentleman. And he like has him walk off. And then as soon as he's alone, he goes, now where's the money your brother-in-law stole from me? You know, we see her saying like, you know, what my brother-in-law did was wrong, but that's not me. Like, you know, let me ask the room, is anyone here as a family member that did something that you're not proud of? And everyone raises their hand. It's like, oh, good. It's not just me. One issue I do take with this episode, I feel like they wanted to tell you what the brother-in-law did, but they didn't tell you like the whole, like they like teased the situation too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they just kind of left that open.
Yeah, but what you didn't like in Selfie is they explained everything right away and the show was done. This left this show time to grow.
No, they resolved the issue. the issue is resolved. This, they're not telling us what the issue was. And this is a side plot issue anyways. We just know that something happened with the brother.
That's why this got so many episodes. They made you wait.
We have to find out. Yeah, it's not the will they, won't they. It's what did the brother-in-law do? So, you know, it goes back and then Ron is like, oh, he's cute. She's like, I don't see it. And then you get the laughter from the crowd. You know, Rhonda's hyping up Mel some more and saying like, you know, look at you up there. Like, you remind me of your father, the esteemed senator.
Boom. That's what I hate.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know that her father's a senator. Like, she has to say that to her.
Right. Well, I mean, yes, I get what you're saying. I guess in the moment, though, seeing her at the podium like that specifically and being in like a position of like a political type nature, I can kind of see her using that example. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Also, you know what I didn't realize until you just talked about it is that Joey meets that trash guy there. And then later on, he's surprised by how big he is.
I think it was a different trash guy. There were multiple. I don't think he's the only one.
Oh, there's just multiple trash people?
Oh, yeah, because they were talking about trash protests and stuff later on. Yeah, it's a big town issue.
It's Toledo, man. Lots of trash.
Toledo must have made a ton of trash where one pickup a week is just not cutting it for the whole town and they're riding.
Any of our listeners from Toledo, tell us how much trash you make in a week.
Yeah, let us know. You guys trashy people? When Mel's talking about her dad after Rhonda makes the comments, he goes, oh my God, do I smell like strippers? And it's like, no, you smell like authority. Well, that is my fragrance.
Wow.
I'm a bit of a fragrance man myself these days.
Me too.
God, here we go on the cologne train.
For those of you listening, I haven't talked about it on air, but I've recently got into the cologne clone game, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Cologne, fuck. Cologne company, sponsor us. Boom.
That's my thing, Jay. I meant to ask, do they advertise it as smelling like, oh, it smells
Yes.
like this? Because I don't imagine how that would be, legal.
It absolutely is.
You can't copyright a stank.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything behind it. I mean, but
You can because it's a chemical. My wife is really into fragrance.
I'm sure the exact, like, as long as you're not replicating the exact formula and the smell is the same, but you're not doing it because obviously a different oil might be used. And I don't know enough about the game.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's like generic versus name brand. Like
Yeah.
the Dayquil versus fucking CVS's daytime cough medicine is the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the name brand is supposed to smell like something specific from nature.
I'll say this. I was very hesitant, but I decided recently that I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I haven't worn cologne in years because, like, whenever we travel, it's a pain to bring it with you and stuff like that. So I just kind of stopped. And I was working outside for over a decade. It wasn't like a work environment where you would wear cologne because you get dirty. I started Googling, like, looking for stuff again. And I think because of that, the algorithm caught me and started with these alt fragrances and, like, that company. And I didn't buy anything from them specifically. But they're like, this $600 bottle of cologne you can get for $30. I'm like, huh. So I was talking about it at work, and then someone had kind of given me some info about the clone game and how much it's evolved over time. And now that there's basically, you know, these companies that produce things that smell identical, you would never know,
Yeah.
and they hold longer now. And
Now, is there a clone for Sex Panther?
I don't know. I'll try to look that up for you.
There was, but they killed them.
I'll tell you, my
Yeah.
brain beforehand. I don't want to talk about fake clones too often. But one thing that got me was because originally the connotation, I'm just thinking of like the CVS fake alcohol-y smelling, like cheap stuff. But, you know, so far, you know, I've bought a few and no complaints so far.
Yeah, what they also do is they make decants. My wife, like I said, is really into this stuff. So what someone will do is they'll buy like a big ass bottle of like the regular name brand stuff, put them into the little bottles, and then they'll sell those on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, I've seen things
That's
like that too.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big game.
They have subscription companies too, where they'll give you small samples of various ones, so you can kind of learn what you like too.
In the past couple of years, I got really into aftershave, which is funny if you look at me because you can see that I actually don't shave.
Yeah, but you rub that shit through your beard.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a PM showerer, so I always shower before bed, and so I like giving myself like a. Obviously, you smell fine anyways after the shower, but like I like having like a fresher scent on getting into bed. Like I feel like it's like more calming. It's better for the lady next to you who's gonna smell you all night too. So like I don't know, it just feels really nice. Especially like aftershaves too have that like the cooling,
Yeah. What do you use?
you know, and it doesn't stick around like cologne does. So I don't want to get everything smelling like it, but
Really, it's always burned, not cooled for me.
well, yeah, but you know, but
Do the
honestly, my
do you do
favorite
the Kevin
aftershave.
McAllister? Ah!
My favorite aftershave is one I get at fucking Walmart. I'm pretty sure it's like a Walmart brand too. I forget the name of it.
I just bought Pro Rasa Scante. It's like the stuff you get at the barber shop. Yeah.
Okay, so I've been looking for the barbershop smell, and the one I have, my favorite one is it's close, but it's not there. So yes, send me a link to that or something so I can
Yep.
look at it. But that's
Yep.
what I've been chasing.
Yep. So my wife loves that smell whenever I come back from the barber.
I do too. Yeah.
And I looked at the label when I was at the barber shop and I was like, it's that Italian company.
Is it the one with the green top?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I've gotten that one.
Pro Rasa.
Pro Wrestler,
Pro wrestling.
Yeah, pro wrestling. It's called the arm bar.
Old Day Goldberg.
Insert eating corn the long way joke for Joe.
Is the clone Oda Gilbert?
Yes. friend of the show, Gilbert.
Yes,
if you've seen our
yes.
live show. But yeah, I don't know how much longer we should be talking about the fragrance thing, but it did catch my eye as it's a recent topic of private conversation with us. As they're talking a little bit longer, this is when we meet Mel's niece, Taylor, for the first time. And she's holding a bag of trash. And she's like, why are these angry white guys throwing trash at our front door? We find out, she finds out about the situation. And she's like, oh, this is getting heavy, and like walks out. I'm like, why did she pick it up to begin with? Even if there's all this trash in your front porch, just, don't bring it in the house.
Maybe like Gordo, she thought there was treasure in there.
Yeah.
Saved them a trip to the dump.
As she's about to leave the room too, Mel runs out to inform her like, hey, did you see that new dresser I got you? And she's like, yeah, I mean, it's nice, but like I have my suitcases, it's fine. And like heads out and goes back to her room. And that's when Mel goes to Rhonda like, oh, like she doesn't realize she's staying here. Like she thinks this is a temporary thing. So we're getting like a little bit of the backstory that we already know from the press conference thing that her brother-in-law at least did something, and now the kids are staying with her.
What I didn't understand is you find out, well, we're going to find out shortly that the mother's in jail. Did he like leave her with the bag? Like she got fucked over?
I guess. I mean, we find out later with the Joe character, like we don't seem to know where the brother-in-law is, so.
Like it seems to me like he did something shady and has left her to take the heat for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know. They dance around it. They talk about it. The only reason I'm okay with like revealing things as the show goes along, what bothered me is they danced around it and talked about it constantly. They constantly bring up the brother-in-law and what he did, but won't tell you what he did.
Yeah, I mean, we know it's some kind of financial crimes because Joey is a commodities trader.
In the next scene, we cut outside, and the kid Ryder, who's Taylor's brother, and he's just outside by himself shooting some hoops. Oh, Ryder, I'm going out tonight, so if you guys need anything, it's like, coach says I need to work on my jump shot. You got any of those? One of the things that kind of flagged me was in the Who's the Boss pilot that we did cover not too long ago in our extravaganza. Go back and listen if you'd like. It's just this need to just have people playing basketball with no context all the time.
It's an American sport.
It is a weird thing that happens often, yeah.
It's like when in doubt, if we need to get someone outside, they're always just alone, just shooting hoops. Like that's the thing that people do all the time.
Yep.
I mean, if you're a kid, maybe I guess.
No, it's 2010. That kid should be playing video games inside.
Well, we also learned that he's not to be trusted alone in the house either, because when they walk inside, we have Mel and Rhonda talking about how Mel's worried that he's going to, set the house on fire because he literally did that with his actual house by getting a bunch of his dad's suits and like pouring shit all over them and setting them on fire.
Yeah, that's totally normal.
He felt abandoned, man. Kids act out.
Right. Not like us writing our names in a parking lot in lighter fluid.
Mel's thanking Rhonda for babysitting. She's like, I haven't had a date since the kids moved in. And I'm like under the impression that how long has it been? She's like, I haven't been on a date so long, I'm nervous. How long have the kids been there? I don't think
Couldn't
the
have
kids
been
have
that
been
long.
there that long.
She's still living out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that was it could have been a while, and then she doesn't want to like admit it, and that's why they made that reference.
Well, what's the most we're talking? Like a month?
I don't know.
This girl's going on dates like crazy. Mel's hitting the town.
Listen, she's used to Sam climbing through a window every night, all right? Bow.
So yeah, I'm like, just the way that all came up, she's like, I almost forget what it's like to go on a date. These kids could not have been here that long.
No, they seem to be adjusting to the situation. So
It shouldn't be that we shouldn't be that confused about this.
While they're talking, both of their phones ringing at the same time. They're doing this thing where both of them are having conversations simultaneously with, different people that have called them both respectively. And when they hang up, we find out that both of them are learning about the same event, which was at Taylor's school. She wrote a poem about the principal where she creatively rhymed her name and said, we hear Mel say that didn't go over very well with Miss Lunt. And so I assumed that Taylor called her a runt or something like that. We find out that this is already a Channel 5 news story. I guess the councilwoman's niece writing a poem. It must be a slow news day in Toledo, Ohio. But this has already made the news.
Maybe most days.
I mean, her life is full of scandal. Her relatives are all doing messed up things.
yeah, maybe she's not liked. Maybe Mel is not liked in the town.
Well, she's not right now because there's trash everywhere. So they are already not happy with her.
Her brother is like a Bernie Madoff. He could be Bernie Madoff for all we know.
Brother-in-law. Her sister's in jail.
Yeah, if you look into it, just the synopsis of the show refers to them being involved in a Ponzi scheme. So the Madoff isn't far off. FYI, Melissa Joan Hart looking pretty nice here. And I never really think that about her just because of you grow up with her and it's not really that kind of thing.
You look at her like a sister?
No, it's just even back in Clarissa Explains It All, it's before you're really into girls. Also, I guess my real point is she's never really dolled up or anything. She's always just kind of, she's like a teenager in Sabrina, and younger in Clarissa. And then this is her first, I'm an adult, look at me role. And she looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing or anything like that. Yeah, I just guess she might have caught my eye a little younger, I suppose.
Yeah, that wasn't, I guess she wasn't my type when I was younger.
So now she wants to go up and talk to her niece about the situation. And she's afraid to do it, the whole having to kind of discipline her. Because she wants her to like her so much, you know what I mean? And want this to work out with her living there. So she's kind of hesitant. And, Rhonda's telling her, I've been telling you, you need, someone professional or whatever to help you out with all this stuff. Someone who can, discipline the kids and, be an organizer for you. You got to hire somebody. She's I shouldn't even be doing this. Why isn't my sister here to discipline her? Well, because she's locked in federal prison. He goes, man, that's a sweet deal.
Pretty sure that's not, but okay.
Well, I guess over the troublesome having to discipline a child, take federal prison over that.
I guess.
What Clarissa would do is she would have designed a video game on her computer that can do anything and use it to teach her responsibility.
True.
We have an intro that's not much of an intro. And it's just the two of them standing side by side with like a just a flat color screen behind them, like a single color, and some sort of like a divider in between the two.
Yeah, it looks like they're not actually together. Like they're just like pictures were taken separately and they were merged together, and then she like nudges him through the line.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's a song. It's just like a single line is sung. It's like, I guess you're stuck with me. Joey Lawrence actually sings it.
God, he's so talented.
Yeah, is there anything he can't do? Actually, I have, thanks to Joey's not here, I have a Joey Lawrence record in my collection. I kind of felt like, all right, so you only wrote a single line to the song, and I feel like it doesn't actually encapsulate the story of the show.
No.
Like, oh, we're stuck together. You're not. You know, you're not in a position where you can't avoid each other.
You literally paid to be together.
Yeah, you're not stuck with each other. This is a very avoidable situation.
You're not in federal prison as cellmates.
They don't have to be around each other. They don't have to work together. They don't go to school together. There's nothing where they're stuck in a situation, you know, where they need to be with one another.
Well, it's just one of those things where they just like, this is not meant to be dissected the way we dissect, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just a very cookie cutter TV show that's supposed to just be, you know, maybe background and not thought about like this. So obviously, if you look at anything long
but
enough,
it's just one line. Like with the one line,
I know, and nobody would ever think that, though. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean you're stuck together? This, you know, they're just watching it.
No, you'd be like, oh, Mr. Nanny.
I wish we were watching Mr. Nanny.
Mr. Nanny? Oh, that'd be great. But how about The Nanny, which was referenced earlier? Great jingle. Tells you the whole story.
Fantastic jingle, yeah.
Yep.
But after this, I guess, intro, we get back to, you know, her walking up the stairs and she's talking to Lennox and she's trying to find like an excuse to walk into the room. So she just grabs a picture of the two of them that was on the wall right before her room and walks in with it and goes like, oh, I was just thinking about that time we went to the Fall Out Boy concert together. Wasn't that fun?
This was awkward.
So cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what kind of a name is Lennox?
I thought that was strange.
The only Lennox I can think of, I know it's not an uncommon, well, not that it's not uncommon, but like Lennox Lewis is the only person I think of in the moment.
And then there's like the Lennox Hotel.
I work with a Lennox, but yeah, Lennox Lewis is always the first person that comes to mind.
Ask him if he was, or why he was named that. Wait, is it a guy?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this is a female Lennox. So
It's like one of those mid 2010s, like weird names.
no, it
it's
was
not.
not. It was not.
Yes, it was.
We lived through that era, and we don't know any Lennoxes other than Jay, who works with one.
We know people. Someone knows somebody.
I know a guy who knows a guy named Lennox.
I'm just saying, all those names in like that era was just weird. Spelling weird and all that stuff.
I feel like there's more of that now than there was 15 years ago.
Also, she wasn't named in 2010. She was named in...
Even worse,
Assume she's
Y2K.
15-ish, yeah.
They were throwing caution to the wind, thinking the world was going to shut down at Y2K.
She's not 10.
Sure.
Maybe maybe they were naming her after Linux because they thought that was going to, you know.
So yeah, so getting right through that, she used the Fall Out Boy memory to sit down with her. She's like, so anything happened today? She's like, nope. Like, no, nothing you want to tell me? Like, nothing important happened that you might want to share? And it's like, oh, you didn't think I'd find out you got suspended? Like, that's not something you'd want to bring up? And she's like, all right, well, I'll share this. Miss Lunt is fascist. He's like, oh, you couldn't have used that in your poem? Instead of, you know.
Kant.
Oh, that's the word? I thought it was runt.
You think they wrote that joke and then named her? Like they named her through that joke?
Ish. Yeah, I'm sure it was something along those lines where they needed to know, they needed a name that was going to rhyme with something vulgar.
Oh, Miss Casserole.
Mr. Doobie.
What did you say to Principal Ruckface?
FYI, the name Lennox is a gender-neutral name of Scottish and Gaelic origin that means with many elm trees.
Oh, so that's why Freddy's bones are in the area.
God, with many elm trees. That's so weird.
And the 5 Lennoxes who listen to us, you've lost them.
There's no chance. If your name is Lennox, we'll send, and you can prove it. We'll
If you
send
can
you
prove,
something.
if we have anyone listening to this episode and your name is Lennox, I want to say, I don't want, it'll be like the one time we go viral. So I don't want to say it. It's like, if you can prove it and you send us a DM, we will send you something. I don't know what it would be. Something, maybe a few stickers, maybe a goodie bag, something.
We already lost all the Lennoxes. Every Lennox fan, we made fun of their name.
We had a few
tuned out already.
Lennox is listening earlier. Fuck this show.
Oh, my favorite podcast is starting.
Oh, time for old Lennox to sit down and have a good listen.
Well, if you're the one Lennox, you've made it.
You made it to the other side.
So yeah,
bud.
send us something with your name on it, and we'll hook you up. So yeah, they continue to talk. She's like, "You didn't think you'd get in trouble for this?" She's like, "I didn't get in trouble for anything at my old school." Oh, well, that's because your parents bought the indoor pool. So apparently something was going on with money, because you're buying the school's pool. Like, you're pretty loaded.
Yep.
Pretty loaded.
What happens if it was like one of those kiddie pools, though?
An indoor kiddie pool?
Yeah.
I think she'd be able to get in trouble if that was the case.
Yeah. She probably wouldn't be exempt from trouble. So we find out that Miss Lunt is expecting an apology, and that they have to go to the school at 3:00 the next day. And Lennox is like, "All right, well, let me know how that goes. I'm not going to that." She's like, "Well, if you don't go, you're not going to be able to go back to school." She's like, "Well, I don't want to go back to school." And the doorbell rings in the middle of this argument. Mel runs downstairs thinking it's her date, opens the door. It's Joe. Joey Lawrence's character, the guy from the public hearing earlier.
Seriously, what is up with his hair?
He shaved it.
But it's like not fully shaved. It is the lightest cut ever.
Yeah.
He wanted to shave his head, but didn't want people to think he went bald. So-
Yes. I honestly think that's exactly what it is, though. I think Ferg's right. He was known for his hair. You know what I mean? Like, historically, like, that was like a big thing with him. He was kind of known for having this like long, nice hair, was part of his like shtick when he was a teen heartthrob.
Right, but if you look at him now, he has hair. Like, maybe he's doctored it. I'm sure that's possible. But like, he's not bald.
No, but he wants the seeds showing, so it was by choice.
Okay. Strange, but okay.
I don't know I don't shave my head. I don't know what the mindset would be, but maybe it was just important to him for people to know that he was only shaving his head by choice. It even comes up in the dialogue at some point.
It just looks like someone just went like with some spray paint on his head with like a stencil. It's strange looking. It distracted me multiple times throughout this episode.
Because they call attention to it multiple times. That's probably why.
That too, yeah.
So she opens the door and goes, "Oh, gross. I was expecting my date." And he's like, "Hold on, I'll be quick." And he's apologizing from earlier. He said he was out of line. He shouldn't have been yelling at her about her brother-in-law. And, he just wanted to say sorry. And then there's like a pause and he just goes, "Bolivia. Lewis is in Bolivia, isn't he?" And then he's like, "Oh, you just flinched." "Yeah, I flinched because you just screamed at me. People in Bolivia just flinched."
That wasn't that funny.
It was okay in the moment, I guess. I mean, it wasn't hilarious, but while they're having this interaction is when her actual date walks in. He's like, "Who's this guy?" She's like, "Nobody," and like pushes him out the door. And I don't know.
Also, none of your fucking business.
Well, I guess if you're going on a date and there's some dude like in a suit, like talking to the girl as you walk in, I can tell that's a little awkward.
Yeah, but the way he's like, "Who's this guy? What if it's her brother? What if it's her relative?" Like, no, who the fuck are you?
I mean, I think we're supposed to be under the assumption that they know each other, the date, because she's referenced making him wait weeks.
Yeah, they know each other, but this is their first date.
It sounds like it took a while to even get this date planned from, what we find out in a second. She also says that he smells handsome. Is that something people say?
I mean, if Cologne Carbon wants to tell us.
I'm sorry, was that a sentence?
Whatever that company you referenced earlier, they can sponsor us.
Cologne Carbon, the stuff you use.
That's not what I use. Okay, I don't even know how to reply to that. So they keep talking, and now she grabs the guy by the arm, and they're kind of doing a little lap around the living room and saying, "Hey, look, I know you've waited a long time for this date, and I have too. but I'm kind of going on with like a family crisis right now. And I really want to go on the date, but I have to spend time with my niece. And that means I can't spend time with you right now. But boy, do you smell great. And look, I'm excited, but like, I just can't do this right now. And just gives him like a big kiss and goes like, that should hold you over for a few weeks.
Well, that just makes things worse.
Like shuts him up, like throws him out. And like, it was so weird because there was no inkling that she wasn't going to go on this date up until the moment she tells him I'm not going on the date. She's like, all right, I have a date to go on. And they're like, I have a date to go on. I have a date to go on. She leaves Lennox. She's telling Joe, you got to get out. I have a date. Then the second the date shows up, she's like, you have to leave. I can't go on a date right now.
I think, okay, here's how I read this, and this is probably me just reading too much into it. I feel like she never wanted to go on a date. She just felt pressured because she hadn't been on a date in so long. And then the opportunity to not have to go on the date came up and she took it.
No, that's not how I read that at all. I think she's going on dates all the time. These kids have been here and she's like, I can't go on dates right now because these kids are here. Like, she's like, I've been going on dates all the time. And we do see later on, I don't want to spoil too much, but like we see later on in the episode, she's on another date. So she likes to get out. Is this right around when Tinder became a thing? She's swiping a lot.
I don't like the idea of her getting around. It doesn't sit right with me.
Because you look at her like a sister.
Maybe, yeah.
But she had a babysitter and everything. She should have just still went on the date.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it seemed weird that they kind of flipped the way that they flipped. But now, she throws him out of the door, shuts the door. So he's stuck outside with Joe now. And he's like, Joe's like, wow, that's a whole bucket of crazy. I'll say this, like, this far in, we're like, a chunk into the show. My thing with, like, Burke, you mentioned dialogue earlier. I know it's ABC Family. And I think that's where I have a disconnect from the show because it's made to be a little more wholesome than your standard sitcom, which is already very wholesome and family friendly. But when they put it on a network like this, they go that little extra. And then it starts to feel like a Nickelodeon or Disney show.
Well, the original line was, hey, that's one crazy bitch.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I just feel like a lot of these taglines at the end of scenes and these little things are a little more G-rated than even like a regular ABC, NBC, CBS would have used.
But they just came off of alluding to the word cunt. They could have picked anything and like, I wonder what she rhymed to call Miss Rich or something like that. It's like, oh, she called her a bitch. They went straight to cunt. That's not super family friendly at all.
True, but I think the overall vibe of the show, to me, like I said, my thing watching this show the whole time was like, Disney Channel sitcoms and Nickelodeon style sitcoms have a very distinct feel to them, especially all these modern ones, which all look exactly the same. It felt like they were told to make a regular show for adults. So it's their version of doing an adult show.
Because ABC is Disney.
I didn't get that vibe for this, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm pretty keen to that, too. When it's too Disney, it's a good way to explain it, like too Disney TV show. I didn't get that vibe with this necessarily, though.
Oh, I did. It was so sanitized. And again, I wanted to say that, like, ABC Family was like, it's way too sanitized.
They know how to do it, though. They had step by step. And look how horny Frank was.
Different time.
It's not the different time. It's the difference between putting it on ABC versus ABC Family. Remember, it's a separate network.
Yeah, it was so I want to say this is what like the 700 Club aired on after Whose Line.
What does that have to do with this, though? Which, like, is this supposed to be like, oh, this is exactly the style of humor they use in the 700 Club?
No, I'm saying that they put religious programming on it. So, like, it's like sanitized family.
Oh, it was formerly Fox Family.
There you go.
That's Gordo's. There's your one for the year.
Yeah. But bam. Hold on. But bam.
But
He didn't say anything about Fox Family. I said the Addams Family, the new Addams Family, which is on Fox Family.
Yeah, they sold Fox Family to Disney. ABC Family was born.
So in the next scene, we have Mel, and she's on the phone with Rhonda in the living room. She's getting ready to head out. The doorbell rings, and it's Joe again. And she's like, oh, dear God. It's like, relax, I'm here for a happy visit this time. And then he's saying how he was looking at the city budget, and he went through some stuff, and he thought of a way that if they move some general funds around, he could figure out a way to like double the rate of return, and that's going to give them enough money to have smaller class sizes and have extra garbage pickup, so everybody's happy. And then she's like, yeah, that sounds like a great plan, and I'd sign up immediately if you weren't a complete lunatic. And that's when, again, this is I'll give them the pass because this is for sitcoms. He goes, Joseph Longo is no lunatic. And she goes, Joe Longo? You're Joe Longo? You ran Lewis's commodities division. You made him millions. Yeah, legitimate millions. Your bastard brother-in-law pissed away. Sorry, happy visit. It was like that exposition they want to sneak in. So it has to start by him speaking in the third party to be like, hey, Joe Longo is no lunatic.
This is very awkward, yeah.
Yeah.
It's even weirder with his name being Joe Longo.
Yeah, we have more connection at least, though. So now we know that Joe worked with her brother-in-law, and he made him all this money that whatever he did to get himself in trouble, pissed away. So he's like, hey, so you think, you can maybe get me a job downtown? Because we do find out he legitimately was good at his job, and he made him millions of dollars. It's like, oh, sorry, there's a hiring freeze. I am sorry you lost your job, though. You'd think there'd be like exceptions, though, right? Like if you have like someone who was like, hey, he's going to solve all our town's problems.
Right, yeah. I mean, like if this is somebody who would have been like headhunted otherwise, then why not? Yeah, but I mean, again, you can't go that far down the hole.
She hires somebody new when they don't even have money to pick up the trash. She's gonna get two bags a night now instead of one.
Also, too, she doesn't know this person. And he's showing up at her house like she's the one that hires
Yeah,
people.
so you can't give him a job in the city. You should just give him a job in your house instead.
Correct. Like any good sitcom.
Hey,
Yes.
she doesn't know him. He can't just work in a building with her. He has to literally live next to her now. So we're getting more of his backstory in this conversation. So, yeah, all right. Well, he loses his condo. His wife has left him over all of this, apparently. His car. His life's falling apart now as a result of him kind of losing his job.
If he's that good at his job that she knows him just by hearing his name, like he must, like, how does he have trouble finding another job in finance?
Maybe he lost his license.
Yeah, I think it was his proximity to that Ponzi scheme, I think.
Yeah, his name, there's probably a stink on his name. Like they don't know if he was involved or not. So even if he was making legitimate deals, like everything that was done is probably being questioned.
You know what this scene for me, though, was strange or why it was strange was, so here is where we established, so she goes, oh, you're Joe Longo, establishing that they obviously don't know each other already. I feel like that just because Melissa Joan Hart and Joey Lawrence have known each other so long, their chemistry just immediately alludes to them knowing each other, and it feels like they already know each other here. So to find out that they don't actually know each other, these characters, was strange, and I feel like they probably could have played it better for just I don't know. I'm talking myself into circles here.
No, I actually agree. I think the way he's presented at the beginning, showing up at the meeting and stuff, and then he shows up at her house, I thought this was something that happened on the regular,
Exactly right. They're too comfortable with each other out the gate. It's strange.
Now, I will say, to go back to the Who's the Boss thing, similar issues happened there where the second he got the job, which he barely got the job until Mona, talked Angela into it. And then immediately after, he's impeding on their life, telling her not to go on this date with that guy and telling the kid what he has to eat for breakfast. So much in the same vein, this guy steps in and is a little too comfortable in the situations he's in.
Gotta be. I mean, you gotta go in and own it.
he just recognizes that she needed help.
In this case, yeah, it seems a little more wholesome and
He's less intrusive than Tony in my eyes.
Oh,
at
yeah.
least.
yes, it does feel that way. He didn't try to stop her from going on any dates. While he's sitting there, he kind of sees the listing that she's putting out for the nanny job. He's like, you're not going to get anyone with this. The salary sucks. And she's like, it's living. It includes meals, which she'll be cooking because otherwise people will starve, implying that she can't cook. And he's going, she? It has to be a woman? Only vaginal Americans need apply?
I could only think about how much Joe would have loved that term, vaginal
Yes.
Americans, and how it'll
Right.
probably be on a button he orders soon.
Yeah,
or
even
something.
after when he watches it later so he can submit his vote, he will probably start using that term in life.
Vaginal Americans, yeah.
Anyone else like super curious what the salary was? Because they never say what it is. He just says it's too low, and then she says it has room and board.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many factors. I don't know like what that kind of work type of pays. I assume when like your living expenses are covered, like it doesn't need to be that high.
Hey, more or less, it's a pretty sweet setup.
Compared to a commodities trader, it's probably well below what he was making.
Sure.
But he's currently living in his car, so it's a pretty.
Right. Yeah. He was trying to haggle it up. He's trying to haggle up a job that she doesn't want to give him. And he's kind of forcing his way in. He's trying to just almost like Jedi mind trick her into just like, okay, I'll take it. It's like, what? I didn't say you could have it. All right, I'll start today. I don't know what happened. She's like, this is like to work with kids. Like, do you have any experience with kids? And it's like, yeah, like right out of college, I ran a youth center downtown.
Just like Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right when they're having this conversation is when her nephew Ryder walks in. And he's saying that the school bus isn't running today. He was supposed to be going to school. But apparently there's like a block on the street because of some sort of a garbage protest, which, as we know, is the big issue in Toledo right now because they only get it picked up once a week. So again, the trash is accumulating at a rapid pace in Toledo. Now she's like, oh, crap, because she has a meeting to go to. She's like, all right, I guess I can miss the meeting and I'll have to drop you off. And that's when Joe kind of steps in with the, oh, you can make your meeting. I'll take him. And I guess she's in such a desperate situation that she just kind of lets her nephew drive off with this strange guy whose
So
father
weird.
betrayed him. So
Strange guy. It's Joe Longo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's Joe. But this kid is the son of the guy who like ruined your life.
Imagine if he kidnapped the son for this plot. tell me where the brother-in-law is.
Like realistically, that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
Your dad really fucked me over, kid.
This left. As they walk off so he can drive him to school, Rhonda walks up to the front of the house and starts talking to Mel. She's like, is that the cute guy from the thing yesterday? Yeah, he's a homeless commodities trader. He's taking care of the kids. Do I sound high right now?
I mean, a little.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something about the fact that, like, if you look at I know we talk about this all the time, right? We've been doing this for years. You're not supposed to dissect things as deep as we do sometimes. But the fact that, like, he's, like, out for revenge on this dude, and now he's, like, driving that very man's son to school right now.
Man, this show would have been so much better if it was Joey Lawrence just beating the shit out of a 14-year-old.
It's like, you took my life, so I stole yours. Meet my children.
No, I'm just gonna say, can I point out that Rhonda's there now? Rhonda could take the kids to school,
That's true. That's true.
and she can go to her meeting.
But they do. They make light of Joe's situation, right? They're like, oh, ha ha. Like, but he really, like, his life is essentially
He's lost everything. He lost his job, his wife, his house, his car. Everything's gone.
he's like psychotically nonchalant about it. And yeah, so when you think about all of that, and then the fact that the person who put him in that position, son, is now there, yeah, this could have been a much darker TV show had you really wanted it to be.
I may have enjoyed it.
Good thing Mel has Rhonda, an assistant who's there unless she needs things. And then she's of no help.
Yeah.
She's there to tell her that she should hire someone else to do things for her.
I mean, let me say this about this show. We are making this show sound fun, but it has not been fun watching it up to this point.
I wouldn't say we're making it sound fun. I think we're having fun dissecting holes in it. But
Yeah.
and I'll say this like before we finish out, but I don't think this is the worst show we've covered by a long stretch.
No. It's not the worst, but it's not good.
It's got its holes.
For sure, yeah.
For sure.
So now we're in the next scene. It's like a little bit later in the day, and Mel's walking back into the house after work. And she's on the phone, and she's kind of talking to, I'm assuming, Rhonda again, saying how, like, no, basically, like, from what you can hear in the conversation, no, I'm not attracted to him, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't think this is working out. And then we hear about like another nanny that they're going to be interviewing. So like her idea to keep him around was not there, but in a pinch is basically just using him for now. While she's on the phone, Joe walks in holding a hamper and he's like, when was the last time anyone here did any laundry? She's looking at the hamper and realizes that it's all her delicates.
Oh, he was sniffing panties.
Yeah. How'd you get my delicates? Were you in my room? And he's like, huh, yeah.
That's so creepy.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is
Your
to me again
stained thongs.
the difference between being on a family channel versus like a regular network channel. I think that you would have just gotten better jokes. I think in that moment you would have had like a more like adult joke in that moment. Like, what is this, your underwear? It's like, I didn't take that blah 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 out of your drawer.
The doo-doo stained thongs.
No, I heard you the first time. I no sold it for a reason.
From those Melissa Joan farts.
Yeah. I just think that there was an opportunity, especially right here, for it is amazing. Oh man, I wish Joe was here because it is amazing how little I find farts funny and how much you guys are all dying right now at the thought of like a shitty
How are you
underwear.
not laughing? No, at Melissa Joan farts. Like, I was holding
We've
it too.
established this 3 years ago. My humor level for fart stuff is completely different than the three of you.
Yeah, but a good pun's a good pun.
It's never been my thing. The fart jokes.
Yeah, but Melissa Joan Fart was a funny one. It's a good one, Nick.
All right, Jay, I got you. What if it was Melissa Joan cum?
No, but no. I mean, if we can get into it again, like I was trying to say while you guys were all cackling, just the idea of the yeah was like an opportunity for what I think any regular network would have used for just a slightly, like, doesn't have to be super gross and dirty, but just like an opportunity for like a joke that's a little bit more elevated. And this is where they have to like dodge it because of the channel that they're on.
Oh, agreed.
Did they dodge it because of the channel that they're on, or did they just not know how to write it?
I think here it's dodging it, and you just getting yeah, and you're not getting, like I said earlier, just the, you know, like I didn't take everything out of that drawer, you know, like, you know, there's little wink and nods they could have put in there.
Also, like, to keep comparing this to Who's the Boss, it made sense that Tony could raise kids. He had a daughter of his own. He was a single dad. He had to do all the cooking and cleaning and stuff. This guy was like a business finance guy, and he comes in and he's like, I'm Mr. Laundry.
Well, no, they talked about how he ran that he did like the
youth thing, but there's a callback to that later.
Yeah, but he lied.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not true.
He admits later he lied about that.
Oh, I missed that.
At this point, we don't know that yet, but yeah, it turns out to not even be a real thing.
I never knew that.
They need you to know that Ryder's home. So he just like walks from the top of the stairs while the two of them are talking down there and goes, hey, Joe, you were right. I should have that sandwich now. Hey, Mel. And then he goes back to his room. It's just like, what's he doing home in the middle of the day? What makes him go, man, I should have that sandwich. I need to tell Joe he was right.
You were right. I am hungry.
All this is like workable. It's just terrible dialogue again. Like,
yeah.
Like you said, they needed a reason for him to come out. It could have been anything. He could have walked to go pee. Like, she saw him like, you were right. I do want that sandwich.
Hey, Joe, I do need to eat a sandwich. Yeah, you know, I thought about that a lot as I was watching the show, and the framework's there. You know what I mean? Like the framework,
yeah.
It's just, it goes into dialogue, and again, the show is popular. It had its run. It's looking for an audience that I just think is a little different than us, a bunch of like grown men. I don't think we're the target audience for this one. But yeah, no, you could get these same people and just kind of fix up the dialogue a little bit and just kind of turn it down, to me, make it a little bit more realistic. And I think it could have been great, like a really solid show. Because you have two people here that are capable, Joey Lawrence and Melissa Joan Hart.
That is frustrating, just considering.
Are we not the target audience? Because this show was put together because there are two people from our generation that we watched as kids.
No, probably families, like mothers and fathers and children.
In the made-for-TV movie they did on the network, all like the records broke were all within like female demographics.
Oh, okay.
And also, if this show was made today, I think it would hit our demographic more than we were in our early 20s. You know what I mean? We have nostalgia about them now, But when we were 22, I mean, they were still not, it's kind of fresh in our minds.
Well, I think that this would probably want to be geared towards, like, obviously families. Like, I hate to say like ABC Family, but families, so you could put on a sitcom at night and it's like good sanitized.
But you can do that with Home Improvement. You could do that with Roseanne. You could do that with Married with Children. Skirted that line. I won't pretend that like my parents legit did not like me watching that when I was a kid.
Oh, my mother loved that.
But most of those shows that do have that aren't afraid to go a little bit beyond are still things that families can watch together. Usually just the kids don't get some of the jokes.
Yeah, but I think this tries to appeal to everybody because of the network.
But now we find out with Ryder, the reason he's home is because when Joe drove him to school, we find out that he forgot his history paper. When they went back to the house to get it, Ryder admits he never wrote the history paper. So Joe, who's new to parenting, is like, all right, well, you go up there and you finish it right now, and we're not going back to school until it's done. And Melissa's like, well, Mel is like, no, idiot. He goes to school without his homework and gets in trouble for it. You don't let him cut school because he didn't do his assignment.
I mean, true.
Maybe, though, if he will get in trouble. Depends, because that teacher's a bitch. So.
Well, he doesn't really know all that backstory yet, though. I just think in this case, he's doing what he thinks is the right thing, but isn't used to dealing with kids. So he didn't make like a major mistake. It's just he's not calibrated for this yet.
I mean, we've all cut school when we had an assignment due that we didn't do yet.
I just kept telling him I didn't do it.
Jay is the king of not doing homework.
But he, in this case, is like, when she's kind of telling him, like, what the hell are you doing? You have to go to school still. He's like, well, how am I supposed to know that? She's like, that's the rules. Everyone knows the rules. He's like, I don't know the rules. I've never heard of them. And then she's calling for Lennox because she's frustrated and she has to go to that meeting. And he's like, oh, she's not here. Where is she? You were supposed to watch her. He's like, you never said that. She's like, because it was obvious. The girl got suspended. She's gone. She's not going to go to the meeting now. And he admits, like, you know what? You're right. Like, and she's like still very frustrated, obviously. He's like, what? That was a compliment. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, that was not good writing right there.
So she runs out. She's like, all right, well, I still have to go to this meeting with or without her, and takes off. And he's like, well, do you want me to help you? And she's like, yes, please do nothing. And takes off. When she walks out of the house, trips over the garbage, I thought she was going to like sprain her ankle or something, and she was going to be in a position where he had to help her.
That would make more sense.
Because now she needs someone to take her to the doctor or help her with things in the house because she can't move. Like, I thought that's why she tripped, but it was just for the quick gag.
No, it's just for the slapstick.
And then this I really liked. So now he's alone in the room. You hear a ding, and it's from a laptop. And he walks over to it, and it's not MySpace, but it's MySpace. It's the exact framework of MySpace, but it's just like, basically they edited an image to look like it was someone's MySpace profile, and it's Lennox's, only it has like status at the top, which I don't think you could do on MySpace back then, where it basically just said like, hey, cutting school, ditching a meeting with Emperor Lunt, hiding on the roof. Like, I don't know why you would mention specifically
dumb, yeah,
on your profile that you're hiding on the roof. I did get a little nostalgia seeing even though it's not Facebook, it was Facebook, so you saw the top 8 and all that stuff.
MySpace.
Like, seeing the layout was a little nostalgic.
We should put that as our status next week.
I will say this: did you guys notice anything when they cut to that?
No, it was too quick.
The MySpace?
Yeah. So I paused it, and it wasn't even like I checked the goofs. It wasn't caught on IMDb either. But because I was just kind of like looking at it, because I was like, oh, it's MySpace. So I paused it. If you look at the top of the screen, you could see the file name for the image that they opened to look like her MySpace profile. So it says like user/admin.desktop.lennox's homepage.tif. It's like clearly written on the top. And like I got like a big like that was my biggest laugh of the whole show, is just seeing that they accidentally left the file name visible when they cut to the laptop.
I mean, Lennox left it like that as a cry for help.
That type of file, the .tif or whatever, that's like a file like location thing like for images. So
I don't even know what that is. TIF. I know TGIF.
That's where Sabrina was.
Correct. Maybe they're saying something.
Also better sitcoms.
Well, yeah, Sabrina was like a classic. No, I was hoping someone else caught that, but I thought it was hilarious.
No, I was watching on a phone. So
Me too.
I couldn't get into the small details like that.
Me too this week, actually. I don't usually watch on my phone, but I had to.
This is available on Hulu, by the way, for those of you who want to watch along. I didn't mention that. I really need to start mentioning at the top of episodes where you can watch these shows if they're available. In this one, I believe the first 4 seasons are all on Hulu. Last I checked.
Huh.
So now he reads the thing on the laptop, and now we cut to her sitting on the roof, and Joe opens like the window and joins her.
It's such a sitcom trope. Sitting on the roof, like
Kids sitting on the roof. And this roof was made like so huge and like looked pretty flat that it didn't even like feel like they were on the roof.
yeah.
It's almost like it's an unfinished deck.
It needed to be just shot a little different so you had some sort of a vibe that they were higher up.
Just angle the camera a little. It's low shot.
So now they're talking, and he's like, "Are you supposed to go to that meeting at your principal's office right now?" And she's like, "Why should I?" And she's like, "Crap goes on there all the time," and like talking about how Miss Lunt fired the music teacher and got rid of the band, and everybody's afraid to talk to her. And she's so tired about life being unfair, and she just wants things to be fair for once. And he's like, "I'd be upset too if my mom and dad bailed on me." She's like, "I'm talking about Miss Lunt." "All right, if you say so." And she's like, "You don't know anything about me." And he's like, "Yeah, that's right, I don't. But what I don't know for sure is why you're taking this all out on your aunt, because she's the only person who hasn't bailed on you."
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know she's taking it out on her. He hasn't been around for any of that, and he hasn't been around her for her to tell him that, oh, she's doing all this to me.
So yes, he's having a great heart-to-heart with her. But yes, to reel it back for us, he knows more than he should, and he doesn't know Mel that well in all reality. He's right. Everything he's saying is correct.
But he shouldn't know that.
Yeah. This show would be infinitely better if he was like a genie.
It would be interesting for sure.
Honestly, that would be at least a little more different. Like if he was just some sort of like figment.
No, the twist should be he's been watching the family for months. Because he's a psycho stalker. And that's why he knows all this. That's why he knew the job was open.
This is the ultimate revenge. He's getting back at this dude by stealing his family.
They call me daddy now.
So he's telling her that she needs to go to the school, and sometimes you have to just, deal with things that, aren't right. And, she has to eat her big bowl of stink. That's, I guess, your way of dealing with paying for what you did is eating a bowl of stink.
Yeah.
Because she's like, she even asked, she's like, "What does that mean?" And he goes, "You'll know when you've eaten one." And that wasn't meant to be a joke. That was supposed to just be serious writing right there.
I mean, it's supposed to be a bowl of shit.
You eat crow.
Yes, eating crow's a term.
Yeah, eating crow, yeah. Humble pie.
Also a thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So now we cut to Mel, and she's at the school, and that's when Miss Lunt walks in. And it's Vern Watson, who's we've seen her in so many, we've seen her just in a million shows. I'll always know her from Fresh Prince, but just shows we've covered. We've seen her in the pilot of Bob Hart Abishola. We've seen her in Big Bang Theory. So she's on, if you look at her IMDb, she's been on a million shows, but a couple that we've covered.
Pretty sure more than that, too, that we've covered.
Yeah. A couple of them are funny because she's in the pilot episodes, but isn't like a mainstay character like this one. Like she just happens to be in the pilot.
Yeah. Hey, she's up there in the Hall of Fame right now, as Joe would say.
Yes. With Mike Haggerty. Mike Haggerty's another guy who's a S1E1 Hall of Famer. She's probably up there now.
We should do a Hall of Fame show.
We got to figure out a way to go about it, but I think that we should have a couple inductees maybe every year or something if we do anniversary stuff. I would say her and Mike Haggerty's got to be the first couple that go in for a sheer volume of appearances on our show. But in any event, we have the two of them talking. Mel's trying to apologize for everything that Lennox has done, and she's just trying to justify it or at least make excuses for her and saying she's just, really upset with everything that life's been handing her. And I'm just saying, like, if I was Lennox, I probably would have done a lot worse by now. In fact, I did when I was her age. Miss Lunt's like, this is kind of pointless without her here. How about we reschedule? Like, you think maybe tomorrow afternoon would be okay? And she's like, oh, tomorrow I have a city council session all day. But we do take lunch at like 12. Like, maybe we could do something around there. And she's like, Miss Burke, parenting doesn't fit into a nice little schedule box. She's saying, it might be helpful to look not just at what Lennox is doing, but at the job you're doing. And I'm like, this is a little
Fuck you,
harsh.
judgy bitch.
She's there. They
Like-
got set up. She's like, well, does tomorrow work? And she's like, actually, I have like an important meeting tomorrow at that time, but I can come here on my lunch break to talk to you about this. And
Said,
she's like,
"I'm
it's
your
not about what's
boss."
good for you.
Yeah, I know. Technically, she's her boss.
I'll defund this whole goddamn school.
Oh, remember those small class sizes you were about to get?
Yeah, not you.
Now I can see why Lennox called her Miss Runt.
Yeah.
And she should have said something like that, like under her breath. And I go, excuse me? Like, she should have seen it because she's rude to her. And she should have seen where Lennox
Yeah,
is
she's being
coming.
rude to her for no reason. She's like going above and beyond to try to be there for her niece. Shows up even though Lennox isn't there, is offering to just like, all right, I guess on my lunch break, I'll come by to make this work. And, Miss Lunt is being a little harsh with her.
Judging this new parent who she knows the whole story. I'm sure everyone in that town knows the story that's going on. And it's not like she doesn't have an important job where it's like, oh yeah, just forget being, was she the mayor?
Councilwoman. or
Council
whatever.
person, it says.
Yeah, that's not a job you can be like, oh, I'm going to call out sick today. Town meeting's not happening. Sorry.
But yeah, right when she's getting this tongue lashing is when Lennox shows up.
You guys are putting a lot of faith in government workers.
So now Lennox shows up and she kind of cuts off Miss Lunt and she's like, she's doing a good job. I'm sorry I'm late. And I'm sorry about the other day with the poem. And I'm sorry about the other stuff I did. And I was mad. And apparently I wasn't even really mad at you. But, don't blame my aunt. She's been getting enough of that from me. Now it's like okay, let's get to the eating stink part, and they start walking towards the office and Mel's like, eating what?
It would be great if Miss Lunt farted. And she said, that was your bowl of stink.
You got their laugh from a fart joke. You got it already.
No, it was Nick's fart joke.
Yeah, it was not mine.
I wish I'd be afraid to even poll our listeners.
Because you're going to lose.
Yeah, you're in the minority here. The world
Yeah.
loves farts.
I don't know.
I do.
I'm not saying everybody loves farts, obviously, but like it's not even that like you don't love farts. You like have like this weird disdain for them, and I don't really understand why. Like a fart is inherently funny. Like it just is.
We all have different humor. I mean, that's been well established. There's a lot of things I find funny that you guys don't. Lenny Kravitz's dick pops out of his pants in the middle of a concert.
Yeah, but
That's
Jay, all
hilarious
the
to me.
stuff that you find funny is like depraved as fuck. Right? Like it speaks more to your state of mind than your sense of humor.
Yeah. Ours is the joy of a toot.
Yeah. And you know what? Farts can transcend all age groups. Yours is very stuck in one like specific adult. And you're kind of just creepy, Jay. I think is what I'm getting at with all the
Wow.
with all the
I'm
jizz.
sorry that my humor's catered to an age demographic that I'm in. I'm sorry I can't share my laughter with children. I'm not walking up to kids and be like, look at Lenny Kravitz's dick. Isn't that funny?
I'm just saying, I could go into a church right now and play a sound clip of a fart. 90% of that church would laugh.
The Pope would laugh at a fart, and you know it.
Oh, really? Have you never heard of the term went off like a fart in church? That's literally the term for didn't go well.
The term is, yeah, but that term comes from, because it's silent in church, so you hear it.
Also, too, have you not seen that viral video of that guy ripping ass inside of a church?
I mean, churches have the acoustics for a good fart.
Yeah, that's a
So
good,
my thing, and we should move on because we have more episode, but it's real quick. My thing, and this will be more complimentary to Nick. Gordo, I'm sorry, I'm going to rag on you again. So Nick comes up with a clever pun that you guys find funny. That's fine. You all know Gordo wants to just make fart jokes happen when they don't fit. He tries putting that square peg in the circle hole so many times that injects the word fart into sentences where they need not be, and you guys know that to be true.
It would be funny if Miss Lunt farted.
Tell me it
He
wouldn't
literally
be.
just said that. With zero contextual need for it.
Imagine if instead of telling Joey that he needed to eat a sandwich, he just came out and ripped a fart.
See, infinitely better.
But Jay, tell me this though. On Parks and Rec, when Jerry had a fart attack,
Hilarious.
did you laugh?
Fart
Okay.
attack? Yeah, that's funny.
The unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Titus Andromedon falls over on live TV and farts.
Also
It's
funny.
Yeah, see,
I
farts
never
are
said
funny.
they're never funny. I didn't say never. There are moments.
They're universal for all age groups.
Yeah.
He literally had a fart attack. I mean, that's cold.
And then Tom comes up and he goes, "Oh, Jerry, what'd you have for lunch? Farts?"
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry. You okay?
All right. Well, moving on from that tangent, we cut to Ryder and Joe, and they're outside playing some hoops. You know, because again, that's what boys do.
You know, I've been thinking about this since you brought it up. Basketball is the only thing that you can do stationary, right? Like as far as all the the main
They can just
sports
stand
go.
and take shot. Well, you can play catch.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, as far as a sitcom set goes, basketball makes the most sense.
Ryder takes a shot, misses. Joe gives him some "I'm your new guardian" like advice and tells him how to correct his shot. And lo and behold, his next one goes in.
Then he hit him with his new catchphrase. Hey, whoa, hey.
Yeah. Hey, whoa. Ryder tells Joe, "Hey, I heard all that crap you've been going through. I'm sorry about that, losing your car and your condo." He's like, "Man, how could you even walk?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." He's like, "No, it's all right. I'm aware that my life is an abyss of inky black despair. Thanks for the pep talk." And then Joe just walks off and does this little cool hook shot that goes in right as he's walking away. And Ryder's like, "Hey, could you show me how to do that?" He's like, "Only if you taped it. I don't know what I did." And you hear Mel from outside, as she's getting to the house, calling for them. And he goes, "Oh, mom's home." Oh, and Ryder looks like his actual mom might have showed up, even though he knows she's in prison.
Yeah, that was weird.
This was awkward.
Yeah.
He did that on purpose. That's his revenge. That's be a deadbeat dad, you piece of shit.
I don't see the need
Bring up
for
my
this.
wife leaving me. Ha, your mom's not here.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, you did that shit on purpose. But what was the point of this? I don't understand what the need for this to have happened was.
He didn't spend enough on-screen time with the kid. And
No. I mean specifically the mistaking the saying the mom by accident. What was the point?
Oh, maybe it's to project that they are a family now. To project the familiar.
If anything, they're
unit.
projecting the opposite by bringing the fact that his mother's not around up.
But now Melissa is his mother.
I didn't even think about it at the time, but you have a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Other than to make it weird, I guess maybe to show that she's filling that hole, she's in that void where the mom should be.
I guess that would make the most sense, that she's so motherly from his perspective that he confused. I don't know. You shouldn't have to think about it that much. Just add it to the list of things this show kind of did the wrong way.
Yeah. So now they meet the girls inside, and Lennox is talking to Joe about how she ate her whole big bowl of steak and went in for seconds, and now she has to brush her teeth, so she runs upstairs. Now Mel's asking Joe, "Hey, how'd you talk her into going to the school? You did this, didn't you?" I don't know, people like me. "No, really." He's like, "Oh, I paid her $50. And I thought that was kind of it's whatever, but making that how he talked her into it, he gave her the nice speech. I don't think the "I paid her $50" thing was necessary, because I'm under the assumption that it was presented like that was really what happened, and I don't think they should have went that route.
Because it made me question, did he?
Yeah, because you saw him give her a good speech.
Yeah.
Whether or not he talked about he shouldn't have even known half the things he said, but whatever. Get past that. He gave her a speech that made sense as to why you should be good to your aunt. So why discredit his ability to talk to this girl by now changing it to, oh, I paid her off?
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
Yeah, not the way I would have done it.
Yeah. But then he's like, oh, relax. I wrote her a personal check. So when he goes like, it's a personal check, boing, meaning it's going to bounce.
I thought this was actually kind of funny. Yeah. Just like the way he did it. Like,
so she's going to learn another valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Maybe he's low key mad at her because at this point we don't know it, but he found out about his replacement.
That is true.
So maybe he's just he doesn't want her to look at him in a good light.
Yeah, because they go into the other room and then like he does show her the thing like, oh, this came in the mail by the way today. So
that's also why he traumatized the little boy. Tell him his mom was there.
Fire me, huh?
Would have been better if he just took the firing and then showed up as Mrs. Doubtfire the next day.
With Matthew Lawrence.
See? Full circle. I didn't even do that on purpose.
When Mel's talking to Joe about like how the thing went, she's mad because he paid her, but he's like, but she did do what she was supposed to. She apologized. And it was like, yeah, Angie said some really nice things to me too that were actually really nice to hear. Like, did you pay her to do that too? Like, no, that was on the house. A lot of those like really corny little lines that get thrown in.
She should have found out through Lennox that he said all that stuff, made the speech of the nice things about her, and didn't pay her off.
They should have just taken out the whole he paid her $50 thing. That should have just not been there.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, this scene shouldn't have been in there.
It just spoiled the moment,
But if they kept the $50 thing and she was fine with him like going off, leaving, and then she found out later from Lennox that all those nice things she said came from him, she could have had her change of heart towards him.
And now he's like, so I guess you never thought I could handle this job, huh? And she's like, well, I didn't think so before because, the whole thing with how she's supposed to interview someone tomorrow for this job. Ever since you pulled all that confidence out of your ass. Like, well, he was pretty confident from the beginning, like when he forced himself into the job. So it's not like he's just showing confidence now.
Yeah, right.
And then they have that whole, well, could we give it a shot? And I guess they agree to terms. So now he's going to be the permanent nanny.
But what changed for her to change her mind? Because she was mad at him a second earlier and is going to hire somebody else. And then she just found out that he quote unquote paid off the daughter. There was nothing to change her opinion.
She's flip-flopped on him multiple times at this point. She obviously has no idea. And I think it was less about that one specific event and more about the overall result on the day. That's why she's deciding to go with him.
I was going to say, this show needs its own Mona. Like, Mona's the one who talked Angela into keeping Tony. That could have been Rhonda easily.
Yeah.
Keep talking this guy up saying, no, he's what you need.
Yeah, she could have played a way different role. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the stuff like story-wise and like why are they so connected and close? Like why, the comfortability. It's
right.
It's just a lot of things don't quite add up here.
Their ability to just like riff with each other is way too fluid for considering how infantile their relationship is.
This is gonna be the first time ever that the problem with the show is their chemistry is too good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, right? Well, let's get through this one little scene and then we'll get into a little bit more before we do the green lights. But I want to get through this real quick. Because the last scene is just cut to like, it's down the road now, right? Like we don't know how far down, could be days, weeks, whatever. And it's just her coming home from a date and he's just sitting up on the couch watching her. And it's that whole like, it's 3 a.m. It's like, what are you doing here so late? And, what time do the kids go to bed? And he's telling her like, at first it was, he lied, but it turned out that Lennox was up until the car got pulled up. They're kind of arguing about what time the kids went to school. And he's justifying it with like, oh, well, but she caught up on biology and, math and the 5th season of Lost. And then you hear garbage delivery council, babe. And someone throws trash. Joe runs out and goes, hey, buttface, forget something? And throws like the bag back at the car. And you hear like the screeching of the wheels. It's like, oh man, this guy's huge. And then Mel shuts the door and leaves him stuck outside. And he's like trying to knock to get back in.
This was kind of a shitty move.
That's so mean.
Yeah.
Right.
So it closes on that, like that little funny thing. But this trash strike, I guess, is still going on.
Like this guy's deranged enough to go to her house and throw his trash at her. And she's going to lock him outside with him.
Now you're locking the guy out with them who just threw a bag at your car and potentially caused an accident. It's a funny close to the episode. But to kind of get back into what we were talking about a second ago, it's a weird like dynamic that these two have. This is what we do, right? Our whole show is that we're dissecting pilots. This is a show where the pilot is what it is, and I feel like they're just trying to give you the setup, and then we move on from there. And then from episode 2 on, it's going to be just day in the life for them. We know why he's there, but it is what it is. But the telling of the story, if you're going to tell an origin story, tell it the right way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can't tell the origin story the right way, start while he's already at the house and just give us a little bit of exposition throughout the show to find out how he got there.
Put it in the jingle like the nanny.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, if you're going to give us the origin story, do it the right way. Otherwise, just like, let's just skip that part.
No, I agree with that. Because this origin story was like all over the place.
It felt very messy to me.
And I feel like they have such good chemistry, like this whole cast does. Like, again, even like the kids and the assistant and everything. Like,
yeah, everyone's fine. No one did a particularly bad job.
No.
But yeah, it just felt really messy to me.
Yeah, it did feel messy. But just dumping them into a day-to-day life would have been way better considering all the chemistry and like the makeup of this cast.
And then I know I'm blaming the network more than you guys are. And it's not that I don't think they had like a million notes, but I think inherently when you are over worrying about being family friendly, all the humor gets dumbed down a little bit and they just kind of tell these really simple things along the way. And, you know, coming off of not that long ago, we did 30 Rock and I couldn't praise enough like all the layers to the jokes. And it's still stupid humor, you know what I mean? That's like all types of really dumb humor in that episode with, you know, strippers and hot dogs and all this really silly shit in hemorrhoid cream. But, you know, like everything was done so like really crafty and like methodical. It was just so when you go back to this where like they just kind of throwing lines at you to just get you from point A to point B, it's really frustrating to see that stuff.
What 30 Rock had for writing, this show had for like just the cast.
With that being said, might as well get into our green light or cancel. Reminder, Joe's not here. So in the event of a tie, he will be the tiebreaker. Regardless, there will be a graphic on our social medias, which you can find S1E1 Pod on Instagram and X. S1E1pod.com is where you can find all the links to everything we have. Be sure to check that stuff out. But to get into the actual voting, I will go clockwise. So Gordo, go ahead.
I had more fun talking about this show with you guys than I did actually watching the show. Good cast, bad writing. I really don't want to see a second episode. I got everything I needed out of this. Cancel.
Ferg.
Yeah, I agree with Gordo. I don't even think bad writing. It's fine concept. It's just they needed someone to write better dialogue because that really is what stuck with me and everything. And I think I agree with you that it has to do with it being on ABC and they were trying to have their cake and eat it too. Be for everyone, but be semi-adult, but take out the bad words and just none of it worked. It's some of the worst written dialogue I've seen in any of the shows we covered, but it's not one of the worst shows we've covered. But it's still, it gets a cancel for me. I like everyone on this show, but it just didn't do it. Cancel.
Nick.
So the whole lazy plot and I agree with Ferg that the dialogue really struggled at times. I have canceled plenty of shows for those exact reasons. But those shows didn't have Melissa Joan Hart and Joey Lawrence in them. And it's for that reason alone that I am actually going to greenlight this show. That I can see past its flaws in the pilot episode and understand that these two can have a good enough chemistry to keep it interesting. And I am genuinely curious to see what happens. I'm not going to binge watch this show or anything, but I am curious to see what happens at least in the next few episodes to see how it pans out. And I think that's enough to get the green light. I just want to see, the two of them work together some more, I guess is really the short answer for it. There are reasons to cancel the show, and it is not a hard green light either, but there's enough there, especially with just the two of them being who they are, that I can give it the green light and see what happens.
Respect that.
So for me, it's also a cancel. I can see, Nick, a lot of what you're saying. I think the two of them are so good in everything else I've seen them in, you know. All the framework's there. And like I said, I feel like they just didn't care enough about telling the story. I would be very curious to see what another episode looks like. And I might even do that at some point, just find a random episode to see, like, once they're in the flow, like how that works, if it stays a little muted as I feel it is, if it's a little corny and like kind of that Disney light type of feel or not. I don't know. It just didn't click for me. There's a lot of stuff that like raised my eyebrows that I couldn't quite make sense of. So it's going to be canceled for me. So unfortunately, regardless of Joe's vote, which could very much be a toss up. So, you know, keep an eye out for that.
I feel like I might end up on an island here on this one, but Joe, you never know.
Joe loves to greenlight stuff. So sorry to Melissa and Joey. It is a cancel from us. I want to thank everyone for listening. Again, thank you to Justin for selecting the show. Sorry we canceled your pick. Go to S1E1pod.com. That's where you can find all the links where you can rate, review, subscribe to everything, do all that fun stuff. It helps. So when you do stuff like that and leave reviews, it definitely helps us out a lot. So we appreciate that. We have a merch page. Go there if you want to grab a t-shirt or something like that. Like I said, this was a fan pick episode. So hit us up on Instagram, chat with us. Let us know shows you want us to cover. And when we have time, we like to pick from those lists when we have some extra weeks to play with. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you again next week with another new episode. Until then, thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best round peg in a square fart. No, that's not what I meant to say. I think we got the best round peg in the fart hole. We'll go with that one.
I like square fart better.
Might be the whole thing. All right.